We all love a bargain, don't we? That feeling of walking out of a shop with a brand new top that cost less than a takeaway coffee. It feels great. This is the world of fast fashion. It's all about making clothes quickly and cheaply. Big brands see a new style on the catwalk, and within weeks, a version of it is hanging on their rails for us to buy. They create dozens of micro-seasons a year, not just the traditional 4. This constant stream of newness makes us feel like we always need to be buying something else, just to keep up with the latest trend. It's clever marketing, designed to make us shop more and more. The appeal is obvious, especially when money is tight. You can completely change your look for very little cash. High street shops and online giants have made it incredibly easy. With just a few clicks, a new dress can be at your door the next day. This instant gratification is a powerful pull. It has changed how we see clothes. We don't think of them as long-term investments anymore. Instead, they have become disposable items. We wear them a few times, maybe post a picture on social media, and then we're ready for the next new thing. It's a cycle that's hard to break once you're in it. But have you ever stopped to wonder how it's all possible? How can a pair of jeans be sold for just a tenner? The truth is that low price tag hides a much higher cost. A cost that isn't paid by the company or by us, the shoppers. It's paid by the people who make the clothes and by our planet. The speed of production means cutting corners at every single stage. From the materials used to the wages paid to the workers, everything is squeezed to keep the final price as low as it can possibly be. This business model is built on a foundation of rapid production and constant consumption, and it has some very dark secrets. To keep up this relentless pace, the fashion industry has created a complex global supply chain. This chain is designed to be as fast and cheap as possible. Cotton might be grown in one country, spun into fabric in another, dyed in a third, and finally stitched into a garment in a fourth. This makes it very difficult to track where our clothes actually come from and who made them. The brands themselves often don't even know the full details of their own supply chains. This lack of transparency allows for terrible practices to go unnoticed, hidden far away from the glossy shop fronts where we make our purchases. It's a system that benefits the big brands while others pay the price. So, let's talk about the people who make these clothes. The vast majority are women, often young and from poor rural areas. They work in massive factories in countries like Bangladesh, Vietnam, and Cambodia. These factories are often called sweatshops. The conditions can be truly awful. Workers are forced to put in incredibly long hours, sometimes 14 to 16 hours a day, 7 days a week. If they don't meet their demanding targets, they can face abuse. They do all this for wages that are so low, they can't even cover their basic needs like food, rent, and healthcare. They are trapped in a cycle of poverty. Also, we can have a cheap t-shirt. The working environments are not just unfair, they are often extremely dangerous. The buildings can be structurally unsafe, with poor ventilation and blocked fire exits. Workers are exposed to toxic chemicals used in dyeing fabrics without any proper protective gear. This can lead to serious, long-term health problems. The pressure to produce clothes quickly means that safety checks are often ignored. The brands put immense pressure on factory owners for lower prices and faster turnaround times. This pressure is then passed down to the workers, who bear the ultimate risk. Their safety is sacrificed for the sake of profit. We saw the most horrific example of this back in 2013. The Rana Plaza factory complex in Bangladesh collapsed. More than 1,100 people, mostly young women, were killed, and thousands more were injured. The day before the collapse, cracks had appeared in the building's walls. The shops and a bank on the ground floor were closed immediately, but the garment factory managers on the upper floors forced their workers to come in, threatening to withhold their pay if they didn't. This tragedy exposed the brutal reality of fast fashion to the world. It showed us the true human cost of our cheap clothes. And it's not just happening far away. Exploitation exists right here in the UK. In cities like Leicester, investigations have uncovered factories supplying major online brands where workers were paid as little as £3.50 an hour. That's well below the legal minimum wage. These are modern-day sweatshops, hidden in plain sight. Furthermore, there is strong evidence of forced labor in the supply chain. For example, it is alleged that cotton from the Xinjiang region in China, picked by Uyghur Muslims in forced labor camps, is ending up in the clothes sold on our high streets. When we buy these products, we might be unknowingly supporting these terrible human rights abuses. The damage caused by fast fashion doesn't stop with people. It is also having a devastating impact on our planet. The industry is built on a model of overproduction. Brands produce huge quantities of clothes, far more than we could ever actually need or wear. This leads to an incredible amount of waste. It's estimated that around 92 million tons of textile waste are created each year. That's the equivalent of a rubbish truck full of clothes ending up in a landfill or being burned every single second. Many of these clothes are unworn, still with their tags on, discarded simply because they went out of style. The materials used to make these clothes are also a massive problem. Many fast fashion items are made from synthetic fibers like polyester, which is essentially a type of plastic. When we wash these clothes, tiny plastic fibers, called microplastics, are released into the water. These particles are too small to be filtered out by wastewater treatment plants, so they end up in our rivers and oceans. They poison marine life and can even end up in the food we eat and the water we drink. The production of cotton, often seen as a natural alternative, is also problematic. It requires enormous amounts of water and pesticides, which damage soil and pollute waterways. Let's talk about water. The fashion industry is one of the biggest consumers of water on the planet. It takes around 2,700 liters of water to make just one cotton t-shirt. That's enough drinking water for one person for 2.5 years. The dyeing and finishing processes for fabrics are also incredibly polluting. Toxic chemicals are often just dumped directly into local rivers, turning them into hazardous cocktails of color and poison. This destroys aquatic ecosystems and contaminates the drinking water sources for communities living nearby. The vibrant colors of our clothes are literally poisoning the planet's arteries. So, when you see that £5 dress, you're not seeing the full picture. The price doesn't include the cost of the polluted rivers, the mountains of landfill waste, or the carbon emissions from transporting garments all over the world. It is a false economy. We are getting a cheap product now, but we will all pay a much higher price in the long run through environmental degradation and climate change. The planet's resources are finite, and the fast fashion industry is using them up at an unsustainable rate. We have to recognize that this throwaway culture is costing us the earth. So what can we do? It can feel overwhelming, but we are not powerless. The most powerful thing we can do as individuals is simply to buy less. We need to break the habit of constant shopping and move away from this throwaway culture. Before you buy something new, ask yourself if you really need it. Will you wear it more than 30 times? By choosing to invest in fewer, higher quality pieces that we love and will wear for years, we can make a real difference. We can learn to repair our clothes when they get damaged, instead of just throwing them away. It's about shifting our mindset from quantity to quality. When we do need to buy something, we can make better choices. Look for brands that are transparent about their supply chains and are committed to ethical practices. These brands often use sustainable materials like organic cotton, linen, or recycled fabrics. They might cost a bit more, but that price reflects the true cost of making a garment fairly and sustainably. We can also explore second-hand shopping. Charity shops, vintage stores, and online resale platforms are full of unique pre-loved clothes just waiting for a new home. This is a brilliant way to refresh your wardrobe without creating any new waste. But individual action alone isn't enough. We need bigger, systemic change. We need governments to step in and create stronger laws to protect garment workers and the environment. This means enforcing a living wage for all workers, not just a minimum wage. It means making companies legally responsible for what happens in their supply chains, holding them accountable for any abuses. We need better trade policies that prioritize human rights and environmental standards over cheap prices. This will level the playing field and stop rewarding the brands that cut the most corners. The future of fashion doesn't have to be this way. A better, fairer, and more sustainable industry is possible, but it requires all of us to demand it. We need to use our voices to ask brands, who made my clothes? And what are you doing to protect the planet? By thinking more consciously about what we buy, we can send a clear message to the industry that we will no longer accept the hidden costs of fast fashion. It's time for a revolution, one that starts in our own wardrobes. Let's choose to wear our values and create a future where both people and the planet are treated with respect.